Good afternoon. I hope everyone's having a great day today. I just wanted to get on and talk about the question of, is this inevitable? Is it inevitable that couples coming together and creating long-term relationships will have mismatched libidos? And my answer to that, the short answer is yes, of course. We're not going to perfectly match in all regards, and we're not experiencing life in the same exact way at the same exact time as our partner. So it's inevitable that we are going to have mismatched libidos. And when I say that to people, often what comes back is, well, that doesn't make sense because early on in our relationship, we were both, hot to trot, good to go. And we were always, wanting to, be intimate with each other. And it was, it was just, we were both hungry for each other. And yes, that makes sense. Of course, when you consider what's going on in the beginning of a relationship and how exciting it is, the hormones and the pheromones and all of that, and the excitement of newness and getting to know each other and discovering, all of that is really exciting. And of course, your libido is going to respond, in a really strong way. However, around the 3 or 4 month mark in, a relationship that's lasted that long, you start to settle into more of your sort of baseline libido. It's what your libido is generally at, even with some of life's, curveballs or ups and downs. That's sort of generally where you lay. And so when both people or the number of people in the relationship sort of settle into that baseline, that's when you start to see some, mismatch come up, right? So the thing is that even though I think it's inevitable, and I think a lot of experts agree, who are kind of studying in this space, and so that's where I kind of got that 3 to 4 month range. Is like, I can't remember who it was, and I apologize for not being able to credit them, but it was a person who is a sex expert or sexologist or something in that realm, and they study it and whatnot. They say, like 3 or 4 months in, people settle into the baseline of, where they typically are. So, does that mean that that's engraved in stone? No, of course not. People can change. People can become more aware and can do different things to increase their libido. Is it inevitable that this will, cause friction and not the good kind within a couple? Well, no, not necessarily. If as part of that getting to know each other process, you create the ways and communication to be able to talk about these things and to work through them. Because what's going to happen is, if the inevitable does happen and you both find that, once the dust settles, that maybe you want different things or at different times, or you're not as often or more, or whatever the case may be, when that comes up, you'll have the ability to discuss it and then figure out a solution, right? Maybe the solution is a different time of day where both of you feel you can engage energetically and be really, present and enjoying the experience. And, that negotiation will have to take place probably throughout your relationship as different factors come into play, because I've talked about all the different things that can affect someone's libido, exercise, diet, medications, mental health, like all of those things come into play and can affect your libido. So, if you're in a long-term relationship, there are going to be times when you're probably going to have to renegotiate things and you're going to have to talk about things. And I really suggest that if you're wanting to build a long-term relationship with someone, that you start early in the relationship and being able to have these conversations. So create space for that. And if you're not sure how to do that, then that's where it's helpful to do some exploration, figure out who out there is talking about these things. And, I've listed them before, Dr. Esther Perel, Jaya, Dr. Emily Morse, and like there's a bunch more, but those are just the ones that stand out in my mind as people I've engaged with either most recently or over the years have kind of followed their work. So those are the ones that come to top of mind because I feel like what they're sharing is really, really impactful. But there's so many other people in that realm who have expertise in these areas and can help you figure out how do we talk about these things, right? Because if you have done some work on yourself and you've gotten to the point where you're like, I want to be able to have conversations with my partners or partner about these things, and I feel confident in my ability to engage in the erotic and openly, I just don't have the language, then that's where those kinds of people and experts can come in handy, because they'll give you that language. But what often stops people from having those conversations in the first place is this feeling where a lot of times there's some shame around their sexuality, or there's some people-pleasing tendencies. They want to, continue to please their partner. There's wants and desires that for whatever reason they don't feel like they can voice them, either some beliefs that they have around those desires, or maybe some past experiences that have made it so that they struggle in talking about those things. Then those are the kinds of things that are coming up, and then that's where I think engaging in some therapy can be really helpful to sort of figure out what that means for you and how to sort of integrate some of the experiences that you have in a way that will allow you to feel more open and safe in expressing yourself, right? So is it inevitable? I do believe that it is inevitable, because I do feel like we're not going to be perfectly aligned in all things at all times. Like, it's just inevitable if you're in a long-term relationship. But I think that that's where compassion and care and empathy and communication are key. Communication is the biggest, but communication is driven by all of those other things, having to have all of those other things in place to be able to have that effective sharing communication where both people feel heard, and then you work together to figure out solutions, right? Is it a matter of, we just don't have enough information? Maybe we need to seek out some resources. Maybe there's some healing that needs to happen. Maybe there's some things that we need to look after as far as our health goes. Like, there's so many different things that can come into play that can shift people's libido and make it so that maybe you're no longer in alignment, right? And so you need to be able to weather those storms and have conversations around them that feel, loving and collaborative. And so if I can help in any way, please feel free to reach out. You can private message me, you can leave a message below, or you can reach me by email, stephsuggestion, 4, lowercase u, @gmail.com, stephsuggestion4you at gmail.com. You can check out my website, a suggestion for you, all written out in words.com, and all lowercase, a suggestion for you, and the 4 is written out as FOR, a suggestionforyou.com. I have some blog posts there you might find interesting, and just some more about the work that I do and my training and all of that good stuff. So if you'd like to check that out, pop on over and have a look. Thank you, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.